Dawson's Creek. Shifting into overdrive. Chapter 4. The Dancer in the Parking Lot. "Oh, we are having fun, Pacey," Dawson said to his friend. Dawson didn't mean this. He meant the opposite of what he said. He was being sarcastic. Dawson and Pacey were sitting in the truck. They were looking at the lights in the tall buildings on Manhattan Island. They were a long way away, across a dark river, and the two friends had been traveling for many hours. Pacey was a good driver, and the journey to New York had not been difficult. But now the boys had arrived in the city, and they didn't know what to do. It was very late. They didn't know where Jen lived. They had nowhere to stay. "It's okay," said Pacey. "Jen's parents live somewhere in Manhattan. We know that. We'll drive into Manhattan, and we'll find a parking lot. We'll sleep in the truck. Then, in the morning, we'll find Jen's apartment. We'll find her address in a Manhattan phone book." "We'll drive into Manhattan," Pacey had said. It was easy to say it, but it wasn't easy to do it. Neither of the boys had been to New York before, and there were so many roads. There were roads that led to bridges over the river. There were roads which led to tunnels under the river. For an hour, they were driving around in large circles. Finally, they crossed a bridge, and they were in Manhattan. But they were on a big highway. They couldn't stop anywhere on this highway, and very soon they were traveling through a tunnel. After that, they crossed another bridge. And then they were no longer in Manhattan. They didn't know where they were. At last, they found a parking lot. It was beside a burger restaurant. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and the restaurant was closed. A road sign told them where they were. They were in a place called Staten Island. Maybe I'll kill you," Dawson told his friend. "But I can't drive the truck home, so maybe I'll let you live till Monday." Let's try to sleep." It was 6:30 when Dawson woke. The sky was beginning to get light. Dawson tried to wake Pacey. "Go away," Pacey said. "I don't want to go to school. Let me sleep." Dawson got out of the truck. He was cold and hungry. His body was stiff and tired. As he looked around, he saw lights in the restaurant. Someone was switching them on, one by one. The restaurant was opening for the day. Dawson went into the restaurant and bought some food and some coffee. When he'd finished his breakfast, he went outside and walked back towards the truck. Many cars were coming into the parking lot now. One of them was an old blue Ford. A blonde girl was driving the car. She was the most beautiful girl that Dawson had ever seen. In the car with her was a little boy with red hair. The girl and the little boy got out of the old Ford. The boy jumped in the air. "I want a milkshake. I want a big milkshake," he shouted. "I want a milkshake, then I want some ice cream." "Please stop shouting," the girl said. Dawson listened to her voice. Her accent was very different from the accent of this northeast part of the U.S. This girl came from one of the southern states. Dawson had never heard such a beautiful voice. "Your mom will be angry if you have a milkshake and ice cream for your breakfast, Tommy," the girl said. Dawson was interested in these words. "She isn't the boy's mother," he said to himself. "Maybe she's his nanny." Dawson had known an Australian girl who was a nanny. She had worked for a family in Cape Side during the summer. she'd taken care of their new babies. The little boy with red hair wasn't happy. "It's my birthday," he said angrily. "I can have anything that I want today. You told me that." Then he started shouting again. "Milkshake, milkshake, milkshake," he shouted. "Okay, Tommy, okay," the beautiful blonde girl said. "If you stop shouting, you can have 10 milkshakes." "Great," the boy said. As they walked towards the restaurant, Dawson watched them. The girl moved so gently and so beautifully. He got his video camera from the truck and he started to film the two of them. The girl saw him and she stopped. She held the little boy's hand and she led him towards Dawson. Dawson stopped filming. "What were you doing?" the girl asked Dawson in a beautiful, soft voice. "I was filming you," Dawson said. "I saw you get out of your car. You are so beautiful and you move so beautifully. I had to film you. Are you angry with me?" The girl smiled. "No, I'm not angry," she said. "Thank you for saying nice things about me. Do you live in New York?" "No, I live in Cape Side, Massachusetts," Dawson told her. "My friend and I drove here last night. My friend is in the truck. We're going to visit someone he knows. My name is Dawson." The girl smiled again. "My name's Dixie," she replied. She held out her hand. "I live in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm staying in New York for a few days with my sister. This is her little boy. His name is Tommy." Dawson held Dixie's hand and shook it. Then he shook Tommy's hand. "I'm a dancer," Dixie said. "I've been studying ballet for many years. I want to join a ballet company in this city. I danced for the director of the company yesterday. He didn't hire me. I have to try again next year. I was sad because I want to be a professional dancer. I'm a good dancer. I want to work with a famous ballet company. Do you want to see me dance?" Before Dawson could answer, Dixie was dancing around the parking lot. She jumped into the air. She spun around and around. She was a very good dancer. Dawson filmed her on videotape while she danced. "You were wonderful," he told Dixie when she stopped moving. "You'll be a very famous dancer one day." "Well, that's what I dream about," Dixie said. "I've always dreamed about that, but sometimes I feel stupid. Maybe dreams are stupid." "No," said Dawson quickly. "Dreams aren't stupid. A dream is something that nobody can take away from you. All great people start with nothing but a dream." Dixie smiled at him, and Dawson wanted to say more, but Tommy wanted his breakfast. "Can we go now, Dixie?" the little boy asked. "I'm so hungry." "Okay, Tommy," Dixie said. "We have to go now," she told Dawson. "Can I see you again?" he asked her. "I'm going back to Jackson tomorrow," she replied. "So we won't meet again, but it was good to meet you this morning. Thanks, Dawson. Thanks for what you said about dreams." A moment later, Dixie had gone into the restaurant with the little boy. Dawson felt sad. For a few minutes, a girl had changed his life, but he was never going to see Dixie again, and that made him very sad. At that moment, Pacey got out of the truck. He looked at his friend's face. "What's wrong with you?" he asked. Dawson tried to explain his feelings, but Pacey didn't understand. "Dawson," he said, "last week you were worried about Joey. You were worried because she might meet another guy this weekend. You didn't want to lose her. Now you've met another girl, and the world has changed for you. Are you worrying about losing Joey now? No, you're worried because you've lost a blonde who you knew for only 10 minutes. Dawson, the world is full of blondes. The world is full of girls. This is real life, not a movie, my friend. Pacey went into the restaurant for some breakfast. Dawson stayed in the truck. I don't want to see Dixie again and then lose her again, he told himself. The memory of her is perfect. I'll keep the memory, and I'll always have my film of her. When Pacey came out of the restaurant, the boys drove back into Manhattan, and finally they found a parking lot there. Then they rode on the subway, the Underground Railway, to Grand Central Station. There they found a Manhattan phone book. They found the phone numbers of everyone in the city named Lindley. But we don't know Jen's father's first name, said Dawson. We'll never find her parents' address. This was another stupid idea, Pacey. They called all the Lindleys whose numbers were in the phone book. None of them knew Jen. What are we going to do now? Dawson asked. Well, we know one thing, said Pacey. Jen's cousin's party is going to take place at the Plaza Hotel this evening. We'll be tourists today. We'll visit the famous buildings in the city. Then, this evening, we'll go to the hotel. There'll only be one Sweet 16 party for a girl named Courtney there. We'll find Jen and Joey at the party. Wonderful, said Dawson. But I'm still going to kill you on Monday. Chapter 5. Rumors. Jen and Joey spent most of Saturday visiting famous places in the city. Joey had never been to New York before. Jen took her to the Statue of Liberty. She took her to the top of the Empire State Building. She took her to some expensive stores. She took her to wonderful cafes where they had coffee and lunch. Jen paid for everything. Joey was very worried about this, but Jen was happy to do it. Please, don't worry, Joey, she said. It's good to spend time with you away from Cape Side. And it's good to spend time away from Dawson Leary, Joey said. We both need time away from Dawson. Everything was wonderful until they met one of Jen's New York friends. Jen and Joey saw the girl on the other side of a street that they were walking down. She was coming towards them. That's a girl named Miranda, said Jen. She's a horrible person. I've known her for most of my life, and I've disliked her for most of my life too. She spreads rumors about people. She tells lies about them. She always has a nasty story to tell me about someone that I know, and she always has a nasty story to tell them about me. Miranda was a small, thin girl with brown hair. Her clothes looked very expensive. She crossed the street, and she stopped Jen and Joey. "Hi, Jen," the girl said. "Billy told me about your visit to the cellar." "Hello, Miranda," Jen said. "This is my friend Joey." "Hello, Joey," Miranda said. Then she turned back to Jen. "How's your problem?" Miranda asked her. "Are you feeling better these days?" "I don't understand you," Jen replied. "What problem?" "Your alcohol problem, Jen," Miranda said. "Everybody knows about it. Weren't you in the hospital getting treatment? You've been away from home for a long time." "No, I was not in the hospital," said Jen angrily, "and I didn't have an alcohol problem." "Oh, well, that's good," said Miranda. "But that was the story that I heard." "The story was wrong," said Jen. "It was like most of the stories that you hear, Miranda." Are you going to Courtney's Sweet 16 party tonight? Miranda asked. Yes, we'll be there, Jen said. Why do you ask, Miranda? Well, I did hear another story, Miranda said. Maybe you need to hear it before you go to the party. And what was this nasty story? Jen asked. It's about Billy and Courtney, Miranda said. They've been having sex together for months. A few seconds later, Miranda had walked away. Jen was angry. It can't be true, she told Joey. Billy hates Courtney. He's always hated her. Then you are right, Joey said. This story can't be true. But why do you care? You don't want Billy to be your boyfriend anymore. You told me that. I don't want him as a boyfriend, Jen replied. But I do want him as a friend. I want to be good friends with him. Listen, Jen, Joey said. Last week you were talking about me and Dawson. You said you can never be just friends again once you've been someone's girlfriend. You told me that. This is different, Jen said. Dawson was your friend before he was your boyfriend. Billy was never an ordinary friend to me. And when Jen thought about what she had said, it made her very sad. In Capeside that evening, Doug Witter, Pacey's brother, walked into the ice house. He sat down at a table. Bessie came over to him, and he ordered some coffee. At the next table, Doug saw a teenaged girl. "Hi," the girl called to him. "My name is Abby Morgan. I'm in some classes with Pacey at school. Pacey's my friend. Why aren't you in Hartford this weekend at the police convention on teenage crime?" "I had to come back early," Doug said. "Two of the officers in my group are sick. I have to do their jobs tomorrow. My dad is still at the convention. But how did you know about it?" Abby smiled. "Oh, Pacey told me about it," she answered. "He told me my brother and father are away for the weekend. I'm going to borrow my dad's truck. I'm going to drive to New York with Dawson Leary. That's how I knew about the convention." Doug stood up. He put some money on his table, and he left the cafe. He didn't finish his coffee. A few minutes later, he talked to his father on the phone. "Pacey has to be punished," thought Doug as he put the phone down. "He's told lies, and he's taken Dad's truck without permission. He's a bad son to his father. I'm a good son. I've done what a good son has to do. I've told the truth." Chapter 6. Sweet 16. Jen and Joey were standing in front of the mirror in Jen's bedroom. They had spent 2 hours getting ready to go to Courtney's party. Joey was wearing one of Jen's formal dresses. It was a long dark blue dress. It was very beautiful and very expensive. Jen had also found a bracelet with blue jewels, and Joey was wearing this too. Her dark hair was clean and shiny. But Jen was not wearing a long formal dress. Her pale blue dress was very short, and it was made of silk. "Well, I already have a bad reputation in the city," she told Joey. "Everybody here thinks Jan's a bad girl, so I've decided to look like a bad girl." "You told Danny and Billy not to pick us up with a limo," Joey said to Jen. "Did they listen to you? Will they do what you asked them to do?" "I don't know," Jen replied. "We'll soon find out about that." The two girls put on their coats. Then they left the apartment and went down in an elevator to the street. Outside the building, they had a big surprise. Danny and Billy were waiting for them. The boys were wearing black tuxedos, formal evening suits. But they hadn't arrived in a limo. They hadn't come in any kind of car. They had arrived at the apartment building in a carriage which was pulled by a horse. The carriage was gold, and the horse was white. The driver wore a white suit and a gold hat. "You girls look wonderful tonight," Danny said. "Please, let us take you to the party in our carriage." Jen and Joey talked quietly for a few moments. "Okay," Jen said at last. "We'll come with you, but we aren't going to be with you all the evening. Don't make any plans for us." "Okay," the boys said together. They all got into the carriage. At first, the girls were nervous. They were worried about the two boys. Did they have plans for the evening? But after a few minutes, they stopped worrying. The girls enjoyed the ride to the party. "Are you having fun, Joelle?" Danny whispered to Joey. "Yes, this is great," she answered. She couldn't be angry with him any longer. He was so handsome and so rich. And he liked her so much. She could see that. "Joelle, please, let's forget about last night," he whispered. "I behaved badly, I know that, but I'm so sorry about it." "Okay, Danny," she said. "Let's forget about it." Joey and Jen looked around them. They were in the room where the party was taking place. They had left Billy and Danny at the entrance to the hotel, and now the girls were walking into the Rose Room. The Rose Room at the Plaza Hotel was amazing. It was huge. In one part of the room there were large tables with white cloths on them. 10 people could sit at each table. And there were other tables with dishes of food on them. In the middle of one table were some large letters made of ice. The letters said Courtney Sweet 16. The girls left their coats with the clock and walked further into the room. The room was full of people. In one corner, an orchestra was playing dance music. Many of the guests at the party were dancing to the music. "Your aunt and uncle must have spent thousands of dollars on this party," Joey said. "They must be very rich." "Oh, yes," Jen replied in a cold, hard voice. "They are very rich, and they like everyone to know that." Joey looked around the room again. Near one wall there was a big white screen. Every few seconds, a color photo appeared on this screen. All the photos were of Courtney. Some photos showed her when she was a baby. Some showed her when she was a young child. Some showed her when she was a young teenager. There were photos for every year of her life. "Look behind you, Joey," Jen said. On the wall behind her, Joey saw a large painting. It was 10 feet high. "It looks like the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's famous portrait of an Italian woman," Joey thought. But the painting was much bigger than Leonardo's picture, and the woman in the portrait had Courtney's face. Somebody had painted the picture specially for the party. Suddenly, a tall, slim girl came towards them. She had straight blonde hair, and she was wearing a long dress. The dress was pink and white. It looked very expensive. "Cousin Jen," the girl called. "This must be Courtney the Perfect," Joey told herself. "Oh, you must be Jen's little friend from Cape Side," the blonde girl said to Joey. Then she turned back to Jen. The two cousins did not look happy to see each other. "Well, you are brave," Courtney said to Jen. "I couldn't wear a dress like that tonight. But was it a good idea, Jen? My friends will think Courtney was wrong. Jen's still a bad girl. I told everyone about your new life in Massachusetts. I said, Jen has changed. She's a nice, sensible girl now. Will they believe me when they see you in that dress?" At that moment, Billy came over to them. He kissed Courtney and she smiled at him. "Are you going to dance with me later?" she asked. "Yes, my birthday girl," he replied. "I want that more than anything in the world. But first, I want to find some alcohol. In this room there is only apple juice." "Oh, my mother decided about that," Courtney said. "She's making me so angry today." "Well, Danny is looking for a better drink for us," Billy told her. "I'll see you again soon." Billy kissed Courtney again. Then she moved away from them. She was going to talk to someone else. "Ugh," Jen said. "She still makes you feel bad?" said Billy. "How does she make you feel, Billy?" Jen replied. "That's the important question." I don't understand you," Billy said quickly. But his face became red, and he turned away from her. "I'm going to find Danny," he said. As he walked away, a woman in a gray silk dress came towards the girls. She was a beautiful middle-aged woman. Her dress looked very expensive. "Jennifer!" the woman called. Jen hated her full name. Everybody else called her Jan because that was the name that she liked. "Hello, Aunt Grace," Jan said. "I must introduce you to Joey. This is my friend Joey Potter from Cape Side. Joey, this is my Aunt Grace Giuliani. She's Courtney's mother." The woman held Joey's hand for a moment. Then she started to talk to Jan. "Where are your parents, Jennifer?" she asked. "They're away from New York," Jen replied. "They had to go on a business trip." Aunt Grace looked angry. "Was their stupid business trip more important than my daughter's party?" she asked. "Well, they never think about anybody but themselves. They've never taken care of you, Jan. That's the reason why you've always been so wild." "Yes, Aunt Grace," Jen replied in a cold, hard voice. "You must be right. But not everyone can have a wonderful mother like Courtney's." Jen was angry, and she was being sarcastic. She meant the opposite of what she said, but her aunt didn't understand this. "Well, you are right about that, dear," she said happily. Then suddenly she was angry again. "Why are you wearing that dress?" she asked. "Everyone must wear formal clothes this evening. That was written on the invitations. Are you trying to ruin my little girl's party? That's a terrible thing to do." "I'm wearing this dress because I like it," Jen replied coldly. "Will you take me to see my Uncle William now, please? I haven't seen him yet." When Jen and her aunt had gone, Joey saw a young man walking towards her. "Hello, Joey," he said. "We met at the cellar last night. You look beautiful tonight. Will you dance with me?" It was the young man named Tucker. Joey started to dance with him. He was a very good dancer. He wasn't handsome like Danny, but he was kind and funny. He didn't hold Joey too close to him. She enjoyed talking to him and she enjoyed dancing with him. She wanted to dance with him again later. When the music finished, Joey and Tucker sat down. Joey saw Miranda walking towards them. She was with Jan's friend, Amy. "Hi, Joelle," Miranda said. "Where did you get that terrible dress? It looks cheap." "Are you trying to be rude to me, Miranda?" Joey asked her. "Was that an insult?" "Maybe it was. I'm not sure about it because it wasn't really clever enough for an insult." Miranda's face became red, and Amy laughed at her. "Tell me, Joelle," Miranda said angrily, Is the rumor about you true? Did you have sex with Danny last night, 1 hour after you first met him? Is this story true? Everybody here believes it.